everyone. Very happy to see all of you today. Our workshop of me, محاضراته and today will be about request for ears, formal and informal institutions, the Egyptian case. Our workshop is classified into two main points. First one, an overview on the request, and the second, some applications or some questions raised about the request for ears. First, in general, we know that request is inspired from the Islamic Sharia, and after that, made by the legislature in some codified rules, especially in the rules of inheritance law. And the request is codified by the law number 71 of 1946. After that, we have some points to make a general overview on the request. First one, what is meant by the request? Request in the Egyptian law or the Islamic Sharia means that transferring of a property or some of a property will be transferred to one of the heirs, or one of the sons, okay, by a written document, or by a format of a legal act, which is called a legacy. After that we have how does the bequest work, or the mechanism or the process of the bequest to be transferred. In this point, to have that the bequest is transferred through a written document made by the bequester, in a written document, which clarified or described what will be transferred to the son or the person who will be deserved the bequest. After that, in case of non-existence of the bequest, in this case, the whole estate or the estate of the bequester of the person will be distributed according to a legal process, which is mainly the interference of the court. In case of non-existence of the bequest, the court will make a process to distribute the estate on the inheritance. After this, the other point is the forms or the types of the bequest. According to the bequest law in Egypt, we have two forms of the bequest, which is first one, the obligatory bequest, and the second one, the voluntary one. If we can compare between those two forms of the bequest, the first one, voluntary, it's made by law or by the legislature, and the second one, which is voluntary, is made by the free will of the person. The second factor of the comparison is that the voluntary bequest is based on, it is obligatory, but there is no interference by the will of the beneficiary. The beneficiary has no will to accept or refuse, while in the voluntary one, it depends on the free will of the bequester who will give the bequest. Also, on the obligatory bequest, it is limited to 1/3 of the whole of the estate, while the voluntary one, it is free for the person to make a bequest exceed the 1/3 of the estate, of the total of the estate. This is a small or a quick comparison between the two obligatory and voluntary one. After this, we have a small comparison or the difference between inheritance and bequest. The bequest concentrate or centralized on a part of the real of the estate of the person, while the inheritance is centralized on the whole inheritance itself, all the estate of the person. Does not centralize on a simple part. Also, there are some differences between bequest and inheritance. The bequest is a voluntary act. While the inheritance is an obligatory one. By the Quran or by the text of law. The second difference between bequest and inheritance is that the bequest will have the priority to be enforced before the inheritance, which is mean or the mentioned in the Quran من بعد وصية يوصي بها أو دين. من بعد وصية يوصي بها أو دين. Third difference is that the bequest is a voluntary act, while the inheritance is obligatory inheritance, is an obligatory one. Also by the text of the Quran, ومن تلك حدود الله. This is the quick differences between the bequest and inheritance according to the Egyptian law of the inheritance. After this, we have the jurisprudence opinions in relation or regarding the bequest for years in the Egyptian, or the first according to the jurisprudence. After this, the law which is admit or adopt the minority or the opinions of the minority who accept the bequest for years. We have two opinions of the jurisprudence or the Islamic jurisprudence. First one, the majority or the who support that the bequest is totally invalid. Why? This side of jurisprudence told us this, because it is actually